Hello, my fellow YouTubers. Happy New Year 2012. I so don't want to make this video, but I really need to because one of my videos that I made in the past actually really helped me a few weeks ago when I was having a hard time. So I want to continue, video recording my journey, as I will call it, and hopefully help myself and help other people. So before I get into that, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who helped me by making a donation for the stockings that I was making. I was able to make 70 of them, and I donated them to shelters, a church, some families, a counseling center, all to go to kids whose parents couldn't afford to buy them gifts. So again, thank you so much, and here's some pictures from that. Next up, I want to talk about my holiday. I had an okay holiday as far as, Christmas was concerned, but I did have what I call a case of the F-its. I was like, F everything, and I kind of was eating very poorly. I thought it was the end of the road for me. I got a little bit depressed. I felt like, oh God, it's all starting again. I'm going to gain on my weight over. And I just wanted to let you guys know that, almost nearly 3 years out from surgery, my life isn't perfect. I don't have everything perfect and eat everything perfect all the time. I do still struggle here and there. But that was probably the longest stretch where, maybe a day or two here, but this one actually lasted for a good 2 or 3 weeks where I was struggling. And one thing that helped me was I went back and watched 2 videos from exactly a year before. I watched my November and December videos from 2010. And ironically enough, one of them was talking about stress eating. So it helped me to see that a year before I was actually going through pretty much the same thing. So those of you that make videos, if you're ever struggling, go back and watch your old ones, see what progress you've made, see what you were going through, at the same time a year ago. Those of you that don't make videos, I highly recommend that you take, journal entries and stuff like that ever so often so you can kind of remind yourself and go back and see how you were doing. But I think what really got mine going, it wasn't necessarily the holidays. I don't get all wrapped up in that. I know a lot of people do. It was because at my actual family functions, I used to totally gorge myself. And these ones I still ate moderately. I had a few bites of everything, had a very small sliver of dessert. So it wasn't that. It was when I was cooking desserts for different functions. I made a cheesecake. I made a cake. I made, muffins, cupcakes, something. It was being around that sugar. And the same thing happens every time I get going with it is when I eat the sugar, my crazy carb monster wakes up and just wants more and more and more. And this just makes me believe even more so that processed foods have some crazy chemical reaction in some of us that makes us return to that addict-like state. So I'm not really big into like the whole New Year's resolution thing. I think that you should just be doing what you're supposed to do the majority of the time. But I did at the beginning of the year start a Daniel fast, and that's for a couple of reasons. Those of you that don't know what a Daniel fast is, it is pretty much just eating things that came from the earth, such as fruits, vegetables, greens, nuts. I have not been eating since the beginning of the year any dairy, meat, or sugar. I have on occasion sweetened something with honey and agave, but I have not added sugar. I have not eaten anything with sugar in it. Mainly, partially as a kind of like a spiritual fast. But mainly for me, it means something more on a physical level that that my flesh has, power over food, that food is not going to control me. So I've set myself to do this for 21 days. And to be honest, it hasn't been that hard because the truth is when I leave those foods alone, I don't ever crave them. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. If you don't eat it, you don't crave it. But the second you eat it, you start craving it like a crazy maniac. I'm so glad to be out of that cycle. But like I said, for a few weeks there, I was feeling pretty bad. My weight mainly has been around 151, and I've actually been maintaining my weight loss for 2 years now, almost. I think next month will be the 2-year mark. But I've been maintaining around 151, and I've been hitting 153 here and there. Now, during those few weeks when I was having a hard time, I was seeing 156, 158 on the scale. And I have no intention of chasing that weight and trying to lose it again. If I do what I'm supposed to do and it comes off great, If I do what I'm supposed to do and it stays, that's awesome, because if I know that I'm eating fruits and vegetables and doing something good for the inside of my body, then who cares? I'm not going to let myself be obsessed about that number on the scale. I do want to share a story when I was younger, when I did allow myself to chase that weight back and forth, and what happened because of it. When I was 16, I did a weight loss class, and I lost somewhere between 30 and 40 pounds, and I'd kept it off for about 6 years. So I was at 140 at that time. After about 6 years, I hit 150. So I had slowly migrated up about 10 pounds. At that time was when the Atkins was kind of starting to get known, and people were starting to do it. My mom had done it. My friends had did it. You were starting to hear it on the news. People were doing it. And I thought, you know what? Let me do it and just lose these 10 pounds, and then I'll quit. So that's what I did. I did the Atkins for 30 days. I lost 10 pounds. And then I went back to normal eating, which was eating in moderation, eating foods that were good for me. That, keep in mind, I had kept my weight off for 6 years with this eating. Within those 30 days, going back to eating my normal way, I gained 30 pounds in 30 days, because my body flipped out from being on the Atkins, and then suddenly I was giving it carbs, so it kind of saved everything that I was giving it. And so that 30 pounds for me to gain, that was like really detrimental to me. And it was such an emotional trauma. Not to use that as an excuse, but when you're an emotional eater, those things kind of set you off. So when I gained that 30 pounds, that just made me want to keep eating because I felt so horrible. So because I've done that in the past, I'm not going to be a number chaser. I'm not going to chase it up and down the scale. Are there times when it bothers me? Yeah, a little bit. But I just don't allow myself to go down that path. I'm still at 90% of my excess weight is gone. So I'm not going to worry about 5 or 10 pounds here or there. And what I've talked about a year ago also was in one of my videos that healthy people come in all shapes and sizes. I'm a size 6. A few pounds ago, I was mainly 6 with a couple 4s. Now I'm mainly 6 with a couple 8s. Totally okay with that. Not everybody is meant to be a size 0, a size 2, a size 4. We're all different. And I see people on here, kind of obsessively trying to hit a certain number or a certain size. And really, those are all man-made things. It doesn't matter. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, don't worry about the rest. And that's another thing I've been wanting to say is there isn't only one alternative to being obese. Because what I see a lot of people doing is they kind of switch their obsession and become very focused on the number or the size or how many hours they're in the gym. And it's just a new thing to obsess about. But I didn't get weight loss surgery so I could, 3 years later still be dieting and fighting with the scale and, trying to work out like a crazy maniac. I wanted to just live a normal life and have a normal relationship with food. And I would say 90% of the time I do. I heard a really cool quote recently. A guy said that we go half of our life spending our health to gain wealth. In the second half, you spend your wealth trying to gain your health back. And I thought that was really awesome. And I think about, the money that was spent for me to have surgery. And now I'm in a position to where I also need my excess skin removed. So my eating unhealthy led me to be in this position where I'm having to spend a lot of money to kind of fix it. And right now I don't really have access to the funds to fix it. Even though like I said, I'm okay with being a 6, I would love to have my excess skin removed. It's frustrating. It's a reminder. I have to be very conscious of how I dress to try to hide it. I feel like I can't be free and be the person I was meant to be. Sometimes I feel unprofessional or like I won't be taken seriously when I'm doing work-related things. How serious is someone taking a businesswoman that has a little muffin top, and people don't know that skin, it just looks like fat. But that's a repercussion of me eating unhealthy. So with all this said, now I'm having to somehow try to come up with wealth to gain health back. And at this point, when it comes to excess skin, a lot of that is mental health. That's mentally straining to have excess skin, to be reminded of what you did to yourself. Another quote this guy said is, "What do you mean it's expensive to eat healthy?" Because eating unhealthy causes all sorts of medical problems, diabetes, cancer, strokes, heart attacks, needing surgeries, all that sort of stuff. And he said that one ER visit can run up to $20,000, which is true. I went to the ER, I think 2 years ago, and the bill was around $7,000. I still make payments to the hospital for that. And he also said your health is not an area to cut corners and save money. So with all this said, I feel like I'm all over the place like I normally am. I don't necessarily make New Year's resolutions, but I'm always kind of reassessing my goals and things like that. And my goal is to just really continue to make improvements on my health. So when I'm old, I'm not having to make up for the things that I did in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s. Like fix it now, make it right now, so I'm not suffering when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old. And my screen just went out. I guess that's all I wanted to say. I am going to show a picture at the end of a picture of me and my boyfriend on New Year's, and I'm also going to show you a picture of me on New Year's 2006, so you can see me 6 years ago compared to now. And the other thing is I'm going to post a little thing at the end. For those of you that haven't heard of the Weight Loss Surgery Foundation of America, they're a great organization that helps people both with weight loss surgery who don't have insurance or have had problems with their insurance, and also reconstructive surgery. They are up for a $100,000 grant that will help them get marketing and PR and stuff like that, $100,000 worth. So at the end, I'm going to put a little link, and if you can vote by January 23rd, 2012 for the Weight Loss Surgery Foundation of America, and you can also pick 9 other foundations. I'm asking that you choose that one and the Guidance Center, and then the other 8, choose whatever you want to choose. But those two organizations, it would be very awesome if they were able to win, and I will post a video at the end of this. So thank you all for watching and putting up with my rambling, and have an awesome day.